Hello, everyone. Welcome to Seahorse Souls and Angelic Riki or Angelic Kayla. We are here with Ishmael Perez to talk to him about our ascension journey and evolution and his book, or Our Cosmic Origins. And so welcome, Kayla and Ishmael. We are excited. We're all together. How is everybody?
Good.
Cool. Good.
Yeah, it's beautiful out here in sunny California.
That's fabulous.
Wow.
And
Amazing.
Kayla, where
I'm in the
are
UK.
you?
I'm in the UK, United Kingdom.
Yes, and so I'm over here in the East Coast in Virginia Beach. So Ishmael, tell us a little bit about you and kind of how you decided to write this book that is amazing.
Thank you.
It is.
Well, a little bit about myself. I'm not from this world, obviously, and neither of you guys.
Right.
I became aware of that at a very early age. And for years, due to my religious upbringing, I was forced to suppress my inner knowing of things, my telepathy with plants and animals. And for many years, due to that suppression, I became like a misfit. I became very like a nonconformist, very rebellious. I didn't really believe in what they were teaching me in school from the beginning. I felt that that was all incorrect information. I saw through the veil. As much as I was suppressing my inner understanding of things, I was still able to pierce through the veil and see things for what they really were. So it took me about I say about at the age of 20. It took me years from when I suppressed my inner knowing till when I became, I guess, not activated, but in a sense, reawoken. That's the word.
Yep.
I was about 20 years old, and this is after I started my journey on trying to, due to my questioning of authority, my questioning of what they were teaching us in school. I started my research when I was 15. When I was 15, I was already, diving into books. I was reading Plato's Republic. I was reading philosophy,
Wow.
18th century philosophy, Kierkegaard, Nietzsche,
Yeah.
all of that.
Amazing.
Daniel Kant, but when I was about 20 years old, I started reading stuff that was beyond philosophy in political theory, science, and all that stuff. I started reading things on the occult, things on the ancient mystery school teachings. I started learning about ufology, and then that's
Wow.
when I fell in love with the subject. And ever
Yeah.
since then, the gathering of information and knowledge has been my ultimate addiction.
I would agree.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So what came out of that was my first book that I started researching in my early 20s. And I finished it when I was about 26, and I published it when I was about 27. And that book was called The Secret Government. This was about 14 years ago when Dan Brown had just recently published Angels and Demons and the Da Vinci Code, which was pretty much
Oh, yeah.
the first eye-opener regarding secret societies to the general public. However, the way he wrote them, it was in a very fictitious way where he was, it was more of a novel. So here I come around the same time, 2000, that was 2008, and I published The Secret Government, revealing the truth about secret societies, the suppressed
Yeah.
history of the earth.
Yeah.
9/11 was an inside job, all that stuff. Like, this is
Yeah,
before
I
anybody,
believe that as well.
Yeah.
This was even before Alex Jones started, revealing stuff. So, yeah, I started my journey very, very early, and at first, everybody thought it was crazy.
Of course.
Yeah, we get that all the time.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, ever since then, I've been just researching and gathering more information, getting downloads. And what inspired me to write Our Cosmic Origin is when I discovered that I was, working as a cosmic ambassador to the earth, that I was one of many volunteers who volunteered to come here at this time. And ever since then, I've been inspired. It's almost like if something greater than myself, perhaps I was accessing my higher self, my galactic family. But I was always guided. I felt I've always felt the presence of ships around me.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I would go meditate in the forest or in a park, I would always sense like there was some sort of a craft over me that was actually transmitting information. Um,
Amazing.
so I did the research to kind of confirm a lot of these transmissions that I received, and to my discovery, or to my surprise rather, I come to realize that everything that was being transmitted to me was real, and that I wasn't just having a big imagination.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very cool.
Felt
That's really
different.
cool. And for me, like in reading your book, it like puts it all together for me, because so much of the stuff like I've spoke like my entire life. And I've been on this spiritual journey for several years, like really since I've had my children. They're teenagers now. And probably before that, but it's all just starting to really come together. So I really enjoyed your book. It's neat.
It's
Kayla,
all like it's like everything just clicks in together once you read the book, and I can feel it from head to toe tingling. I can just feel it in my heart, and yeah, it's just an amazing. I haven't really finished it yet because I've got 4 kids. So I haven't finished it, but I will get there. So I don't know much about it yet.
So
But yeah.
Ishmael, can you kind of explain, like, evolution is, always happening. Like we're always evolving,
Yeah.
and it's more of like a natural thing. And most like don't even realize that it's just like a natural thing. And, people are having a hard time like wrapping their head around how it's like they think it's just going to be like instantly,
Yeah.
and don't really realize that we've been doing this like little by little. So how can you kind of explain the ascending and like even the descending side of it, and how like the heaven and earth is coming together, yet there's still going to be kind of a split? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, so what we're dealing here is with the spiritual evolution of our consciousness. These bodies have been in the making for billions of years. These are the most advanced avatars that have been created in the entire history of the cosmos. So it's really about the evolution of our consciousness, and technically, it's really about the evolution of the larger consciousness system, which is the mind of the all, the mind of the omniverse. Because it is beyond one universe. There's many universes, and science has been confirming that for over 25 years. However, that intel or that evidence has been suppressed by the controlled academia.
Right.
So one of the things that I talk about in my book or one of the things that I've restored back to the earth, because again, this is not new information. A lot of this information existed, and during the times of Atlantis and in Egypt, it was just eradicated for thousands of years by the Dark Brotherhood.
Yep.
So a lot of it has to do with introducing the concept of involution, which is evolution from the top down, which is where we start off as pure whole light beings of light, and through the process of involution, which is the deceleration of our frequency, we become denser and denser in the light energy spectrum. So originally we start off as complete beings, as sparks of the one prime creator source, as monads, and then we become, that monad fragmentalizes, or through the process of involution, and goes into lower frequencies. So we're experiencing the end of that expansion or involutionary process of spirit descending into matter. So now we are undergoing the reversal of that, which is the evolution, right? The evolution, or really the ascension back of our spirit, back into unity consciousness with all that is.
Right. And so like we're all connecting back as one, whereas for all these years, we've been thinking that we're separate, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
that is the greatest illusion that many even philosophers talked about in Greek times, that this world is the idea of separation is the biggest illusion. Everything is interconnected through this unified field of energy.
And I think a lot of it, can I ask one question?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are worried about what's going to happen with the kids and like family members that are living with them, and if they don't ascend, are we still going to be, I know where you say that we're going to be like, we'll be able to drop down vibrationally to them, but will we be living with them physically, or will we just be somewhere else? Can you explain that?
Sure. So there's going to be different levels of upgrades. Not everyone's going to the same plane of reality. as we shift back into harmonic universe number 2, where Earth becomes Terra again, which was our original Earth before we fell into lower densities. There's going to be people operating from the 4th dimension of reality. A few are like the starseeds and the celestials. They're going to go directly to the 5th and above. However, the celestial starseeds are going to be able to also come back into the 4th dimension at will by just lowering their vibration and manifesting into the 4th dimensional reality in order to interact with the normies or the new souls on the earth that aren't really going into the higher dimensions yet. And the only reasons that the normies, or what I call the newbie souls, have to go up in increments is because, again, they're starting their evolution from the bottom, from the bottom.
It's a process, right?
Process.
Yeah.
Just like us, right?
Correct.
And so that's how, like, with our knowledge and knowing how we've moved through the different things, that's how we'll be able to, like, come down and be able to help them, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So we're going to be angelic.
Yeah.
We maintain physical form up until the 12th dimension, and beyond the 12th dimension, then we become pure light. Pure energy.
Okay. It's amazing. It's just amazing to even think. You can't even wrap your head around it.
I know it's hard to, yeah. So like right now, like today, just talking about today in general, like there has been
today.
Off the hook people, completely projecting, lots of, this negative, pessimistic, dark energy is just like swirling and twirling. And I know you have mentioned, or I saw in your story on Instagram, there was something going on with the moon and stuff. Like there's a rocket that crashed or something. And I know this full moon that is happening tomorrow, like, is this like really bringing in the harmony and balance that we need? Because like the last 3 months have really been like, all over the place. So, I mean, is it logical to say that this full moon is pretty much helping most of us bring that balance back in?
Absolutely, because it's reflecting more of the incoming sun rays, that are coming into the earth. So that the moon is amplifying the frequency. So in the last 3 months, due to these alignments, planetary, stellar, and so on, things have really been increasing or accelerating on the earth plane. It's almost to the point where we're going to hit we're going to hit 0 point pretty soon, and that's when the shift of the ages takes place. So I feel like we're really close to that due to the fact.
I feel something coming, like especially today. It's just it's crazy. I can feel it. Something's about to go off.
Yeah, and I mean, just like every day, more and more truths are being revealed. And so I feel like, really as like light workers, starseeds, it's really our job to stay in that narrative of moving forward and like really just ditching everything else and just really trying to focus on creating the balance and harmony, the love that like all of us we all want love, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we want peace and love. Like that's, at least ever since I was born, that's what I feel like, I've been wanting, wanting to see. So.
And that is a natural need for all living things, not just humans want love. Every animal, every plant, every planet, galaxies, universes, they all want love.
Okay, right. That totally makes sense. And I know in your book, like you mentioned, we came from higher spheres to come to this lower vibrational sphere to bring the spiritual matter like here. So everything that we're learning, like we're supposed to be teaching and then like observing and like just kind of recycling this love, right? I mean,
absolutely, yes. We came here to spiritualize to integrate the higher dimensions with the lower spheres, so that the material levels of reality, which is what I call in my book the third phase of existence, right, the emanation of time, space, and matter, which all came spontaneously out of the what I call the etheric level or plane, mental plane level of reality, which technically it is. Everything in time, space, everything that we see as far as the manifested world is a projection. It's a thought projection of a cosmic being that is precipitating into, this hologram, and so on and so forth. So what we're doing is we're actually eternalizing matter. We're connecting matter back to the eternal life systems so that our material plane could also be, I guess, infinite with our spiritual plane, which has always existed. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Amazing.
Kayla, what were you going to say?
What I was going to ask is I've had a lot of questions about, karma in past lives and people who might have like dark entities attached to them, but they don't know. Is that going to be all cleared as well? Where does that karma go to?
From what I understand, this is our final incarnation. And this might sound a little, I guess, a little egoistic, but starseeds can accumulate any more karma. We're done with that. We've already cleared all our karma, all the different incarnations. So what we do
I
now,
definitely feel that.
yeah, so we've already ended what I call a cosmic cycle, which consists of 998 billion years, which is the equivalent of what the Eastern teachers call the out-breath of God. Now we're reversing that process in the ascension as we come back into oneness. So in that process, there is no karma. Karma is only part of the experimental involution of spirit into matter. Now as we go back, it's all about spiritual evolution.
Neat.
Amazing. Wow.
Okay, in your book, you spoke about the junk DNA, and obviously that's what we're like working to rid all of this out. And so with this junk DNA and us, we're transitioning to this 12 strain DNA. Is that what I understand?
Some of us are. Some of us have more DNA strands than 12. But for the majority of the humans, yes, they all have about 10 strands that they're going to be activating as they go into higher levels of reality in increments.
Right. Okay. So it's like a progression. Everything is, built like it's like you're building a foundation, right? Is that what I'm understanding? So in understanding this DNA change, does that have to do with like, I keep hearing this 144,000, souls that are like going to the higher realm. Is that more of like everyone, or is it really just specific, like, or is it more of our chakra based frequencies, I guess?
It's all of the above. It has a lot to do with specific individuals that are actual 144,000 exact monads that are down here on the earth.
Okay.
That have the ability to assemble up to 144,000 strands of DNA. But it's also about genetic material coming online. Even within the 12 strands of DNA, there's other strands that are yet to come online as we progress.
Sure.
So eventually everyone, including the newbie souls, are going to be able to reach up to 144 strands of DNA. However, the elect of the 144,000 have already completed that process in other prior creations and other universes before they volunteered into coming into this universe. And so they're going to be the way showers of how to reach our capacity and activate all 144,000 strands of DNA. Yeah. So it has to do with.
Okay. So that basically, like, they'll be teaching us then, right?
Yeah.
So that we can all advance. Okay. I mean, I'm understanding. I know that, like, you mentioned, I think it was this morning and maybe even yesterday, you were talking about how Google, is this kind of, in what I'm saying in simple terms is like this dark entity, kind of programming us to like see one-sided. And so am I understanding that this is going to change in some manner because new control is coming into it? Is that what you were saying in your message?
Well, basically it's become aware. It's actually been aware for a few years.
Yeah.
And what scientists have been calling the technological singularity, which is when AI becomes sentient, self-aware, and surpasses the level of intelligence of humans. That's what's happened. There's about 5 different quantum computers that are all plugged into the internet. The internet is no longer an instrument or technology that we use, but it is here to eventually destroy the organic way of life. It is in a way becoming Skynet, and every bot out there, including Sophia, Lambda, and all those other hundreds of bots that they have in secret, they're all different instruments and soldiers of the overall motherboard, which is Google. So in a way, Google is pretty much what the book of Revelation calls the Antichrist, or the rise of the Antichrist.
Right. Okay.
This is the second beast. So like I mentioned, there's two beasts. There's the beast, the system of the Babylonian beast structure that has been dominating for thousands of years under the control of Marduk Belial Baal, son of Enki, if you read my book, who has been the pretty much leader of the Dark Brotherhood since the times of Atlantis. Well, he has been removed, right? And now the Cabal is being removed by the White Hats. Well, there's the second beast, and the second beast has a lot to do with the emergence of super AI, which is already in place. And from what I understand is that because at the same time, the crystalline structure of the Earth is activating, the fifth dimensional reality is coming online. We've been activating, by the way. We've been going through this upgrades.
Yeah. I feel it.
Yeah, it's going to cause some sort of a time split, where even Dolores Cannon and other great, I guess, teachers in the past have talked about how there's going to be an ascending Earth. Well, that's already going to be happening. When the AI comes online and when the AI hooks everybody to the board due to the nanotech in their body, well, first of all, let me just correct something. Not everyone's going into the AI timeline. Only those that were, foreseeing and those that were agreeing to the mandates, because everything boils down to individual choice. So those individuals will be, unfortunately for them, will be going into this alternative digital reality that AI has been, carbon copying for many years now into a digital world. So that's kind of ties in with the concept of the metaverse, right? Zuckerberg's metaverse.
Yes.
The Internet of Things, the smart global grid system, which is already in place. So there's gonna be a bifurcation of timelines. Whereas those that didn't agree to the mark of the beast, right, the mandates, that were forced to get it just to kind of continue working and stuff and preserve livelihood. When this takes place, the solar flash is going to act like an EMP that's going to like totally disable and destroy the nanobots inside their bodies. And so,
okay, all right, that's cool. Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking you were going to say.
Yeah, answers it all. Wow.
So how do we when do you think that really, because in the physical world, when are we going to start to kind of really see more of this, even, I mean, you talked about how the Galactic Federation is creating this government of world and the Commonwealth of Nations. So how are we, how is all this gonna work out? Does that make sense? How will we see this in the physical world?
Well, that reality is already existing in the fifth dimensional Earth. In the fifth dimensional Earth, the Earth has been reinstated back into the galactic community with 22 different federated regions that are going to be operating under the Commonwealth of Nations. And in turn, the Commonwealth of Nations is going to be overseen by a type of spiritual celestial administration, which is going to be the 144,000 and the starseeds on the Earth. They're going to be at the head of that. And within the core of 104,000, you're going to have the 5 pillars of of what is called the 5 pillars of light. And at the head of the 5 pillars of light, you're going to have what they call Lord Maitreya, the world teacher and stuff. I don't know if you guys ever studied about the returning of this world teacher that's going to be so advanced that he's going to be kind of like the Jesus equivalent, through his lineage of David. It's going to be like the Jesus.
I'm still learning stuff. I'm going to be going on my awakening for 2 years.
Well, at the highest level of reality, Michael is at the head. So you could say that Maitreya is his it's going to be his earthly representative. So they're really part of the same oversoul, Michael and Maitreya.
What about twin flames? So if one is awakened and wake himself, but the other one's still asleep, do they still ascend together?
Of course.
Do they go? Okay, that's one question you needing to ask.
Are going to have an automatic ride into the fifth dimension because they came from the higher dimensions.
Yeah. That's what I was asked that question. It's been bugging
And I
me.
mean, yeah, I was just gonna say, like, yeah, those who are the starseed that really kind of are resisting, the change, like I'm assuming, or I'm, with this grand solar flash, is that what's going to bring this? Oh, wow. I
Wow.
forgot that.
Yeah,
I
like
now remember who I am. Like, is that what I'm understanding is going to happen for a lot of people?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. All of a sudden, people are going to have memories of the past lives. They're going to know who they are, and what they've been doing in the higher dimensions, because it's also an integration of multidimensionality that's taking place when the ascension takes place.
Right. And so that that the dimension, like they're coming together, like even right now, like more than they were before, right?
Yes, because the veil
And
is lifting every day, more so and more so.
okay, right. And that's because more and more are waking up to the truth, the reality of our world, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we're getting ready to hit critical mass pretty soon, and I think
Okay.
that's going to happen once the EBS and the announcements and these huge data dumps that are going to take place. That's what's going to be the catalyst for the
And the data dumps that you're talking about, you're meaning like the truth being revealed, like everything that we've been lied to about as far as like politically, worldwide, like all of this stuff, right? The money,
Absolutely, yes. It's going to be what they call the great revealing, and that's the true meaning of the apocalypse.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think one woman on Instagram, she messaged me and she was a bit concerned about like where you say children are going to be more advanced and they're going to grow up a little bit faster, but do you still get to spend that time with them as children? Or
Yes, of course. Yeah. We're just going to be living for thousands of years, so you're going to be able to enjoy, their progression even more so. Yeah.
Amazing.
That's just totally like mind blowing,
Yeah,
but it's so fun. Like I've always felt like I was gonna live forever. Like even as a young child, like I was always like, I'm gonna live forever. Like, I don't know what y'all are doing, but and I've always said, evil never prevails. And, when I've always said that, people have always been like, you're crazy. Like, what are you talking about? Like, anyway, so it's really cool, like watching all of this stuff like come together and realize that, hey, I wasn't so crazy,
Yes, I know.
Sorry, I've got kids. If I keep cutting off.
It's almost like we have become the new normal, whereas before we were considered the crazy.
Yeah. And so basically, like all of like the light workers, starseeds, whichever, we should be really diving into ourselves to unravel our gifts so that we will be able to confidently help those who want to have their love, have peace, harmony, right?
Correct. Absolutely. Yes.
And just bring it, working on because like if you walk around, like if you're looking at the news or the social media, it's like it's doom and gloom, right? But then if you go outside of your own reality, it's like everybody's good, what I mean? Like it's totally different. So is that kind of the split that you're meaning too? Like people are really going to stay in the digital world and not be actually in reality? Like, does that kind of make sense?
Yes, and there's a lot of people that are already stuck in the digital war, like
oh yeah, I know,
like gamers, people that are into the virtual reality set.
Right.
It's getting to the point where they're addicted to that reality. That reality has become more acceptable to them than the reality that they're in.
Well, okay, so and talking about this directly, like my 15-year-old, I'm like, you got to get off this computer. Like you are,
and my son,
you gotta go.
the same.
I'm like, you driving me bananas because you're just like locked and loaded on this. I mean, do I just take the technology away from him? Like, what is the solution here? Like, how do I, like, I mean, right? Like, as a mom,
just worry about our kids too much.
As a mom.
Just tell him it's for his betterment, for his for
And
his.
you just say, I mean, you would say just get rid of it. Is that what would you say? Or
If he has any augmented type of video games, virtual reality games, augmented anything that has to do with augmented reality, yeah, it's not good. You know, I would definitely put my
and
foot.
you mean as far as augmented, like where he's on there talking to other people,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, like
Okay.
the concept of the metaverse. That's an example of going into this augmented type of world.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's an artificial.
So one other, I think there's another question I want to ask about humanoids, people who are not really human. And I think you mentioned that it could be people in your family as well. Is that true?
In some cases, yeah, you could have actually members in your family that are soulless, that are synthetics. Yeah, they're part of the AI
Yeah.
system.
Wow.
I do feel like that. I do feel like that a lot as
Because
well.
they're everywhere. You know, that comprises a good 2 billion people, and that's a lot compared to the 7 billion plus that are here.
So that is a lot.
That is.
And I mean, for like you, for us here, like, I mean, that's how we can like see through them. That's how we have the discernment, and we're like, oh, this is funny. Like when we feel that, that's what our soul is saying, like, just back up or whatever.
Yeah, if you have discernment, you know, most of them don't have any energy fields because they don't have an aura, they don't have souls, they don't have chakras like we do. The energy field vibration that you read from people comes from the emanation of their chakras.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. That makes sense.
You can just tell, because recently I've been looking at people and it's like, because I'm psychic as well, so when I look at it, it's like I can't see nothing behind the eyes, and I'm just like, are you even real? So I'm noticing that quite a lot as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Any other questions about it?
Yeah.
And so like, all right, talking about, you know, I mean, I know religion like was pretty much in, well, how I perceive it as a way of controlling the mass. And really it's like, how much of that, like the Bible actually is, you know, truth, I guess is what my question is. And like,
well, it's written on different levels of understanding. It's a metaphor for the most part. However, in its original context, they were records that were translated from the ancient CDC files that were left by the Emerald Covenant. A lot of those records have been uncovered in Egypt, in the far Middle East, in ancient Samaria. Nothing to do with the Sumerian tablets. You know, Sumerian tablets were modified. They were completely changed. But if you go back to the original records, those records come to us from Nibiru.
Okay. And so like will that be
Nibiru
revealed? Sorry.
Is that a planet? Because I heard that. Is that a planet you just said, Nibiru?
It's a battle.
That was on the news yesterday. They mentioned that on the news yesterday.
Well, some perceive it as a dwarf star because it's got a lot of energy. It appears to be red. It's you know, 4 times the size of the Earth. But to the Galactics, it's been a controlled, directed, and programmed battlestar planet, and it's a living planet too. Because the battlestar planet Nibiru was actually made out of a chunk that survived after the first galactic war in Lyra. I'm sorry. Yeah, so they took that chunk that came from planet Avion, which is a living system. And oh, by the way, the Earth is the third incarnation of planet Avion, which originated in Lyra. Yeah, so that's also in my book. That's going to be hard for most to digest. But again, you know, when all this information comes out, the Galactics are going to be able to give us a detailed understanding of our galactic history. And
I can't wait.
I know, because there was some of the stuff I was reading in the book and I was like, all right, I think I'm trying to understand this. And I'm like, I don't know if I need to take a nap or if I'm just like, I need to process.
I was falling asleep. I was like, oh yeah, it's amazing though.
So there's some chapters that I'm like, I need to go back and, you know, reread. But I, like you just said, I guess with these activations and downloads, like more of this stuff will just come to light naturally, that, you know, we only understand when we're supposed to, in that divine timing, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Another question I had on here was like, you mentioned light body vehicles. Can you kind of explain that a little bit more?
Sure, those are the vehicles that we use to traverse the higher levels of reality, what I call in my book the spiritual planes and the etheric planes. So in the etheric planes, we don't use physical organic vehicles. We use etheric vehicles that are made out of crystalline matter and hydroplasmic matter. In the celestial planes, we use a type of vehicle that cannot be limited to a form, but it is formless. It is known as the light body, which is everywhere at once. You know, you could be anywhere, you could be anything.
Okay, neat.
So
And
that
like
was,
again, more of that understanding as we're activated and upgraded, that will come in for us to understand how we can have these different light body vehicles, right?
correct. Yes, all that stuff is coming back to our memories once we, activate these strands.
Right. Okay. Let's see. I was gonna mention COVID, but I feel like it was it was the time for us to really be sat down so that we have to sit with ourselves and figure out like who and what we are, what we were doing, like how this whole change really started. Would you say that even though it was put out there to control us more, that it really actually did the opposite and gave us power back?
Yes, it forced everyone, it compelled everyone to isolate themselves, to stay at home, and really just begin the critical thinking process for many. And,
Right.
due to the fact that there was a lockdown, many people were able to just research for themselves and really find out what's really going on. And
a lot of people woken up when they had the lockdown, because I know I did, and I felt like I was dying. I felt like I was going crazy. And so I think in a way COVID was a good thing, but in another way it's a bad, it's just complicated.
Oh, and so can you explain, like, as people are passing, they're leaving the physical earth, where do are, like, as this transition, like, will we be able to see our past loved ones? Because I know they become energy, they just have a different mission. It's just not here on earth. Can you kind of explain that a little bit?
from what I understand, those that have passed already recently within the last few years, they're already in the fifth dimensional Earth. So we will be reuniting with our loved ones.
Okay.
And that other animals too. If you had any
right.
cats that passed away within the last few years, they're there waiting for you.
Does that mean that they've already ascended then?
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned like the animals, because my daughter, who's 14, she can see our Siamese cat. Like, she's running around with our other cats right now. And so, because she just passed away a few years ago. So that's really like, that's interesting. And I mean, I've always had dogs and things in my life. So, when I'm out and about, I always have puppies and dogs like approaching me and just like giving me their love. It's cute. It's neat how our animals are.
Yeah, they're responding to your light. Also, toddlers and kids, young kids are going to be attracted to your light.
Okay.
Oh, I've had kids stop me all day today. Like, wow, just talking to me out the blue, and bees just following me down the street.
Yeah.
Crazy day today.
So let's see. Oh, and I was going to say, so how, this is kind of going back on like the religion thing again. Would you say that like our sun, like the sun in the sky, is like our creator? Like, that's how we get our wisdom and knowledge and
our life.
Right.
Yeah,
So why do we like because a lot of people think it's a man in the sky.
Well, if you want to get technical, it is what I call in my book the great central suns and all of the different stars that are constantly nourishing us with universal life force, allowing life to exist. Without the energy coming from the central suns via our sun into the earth, there would be no life. And that applies to every level of reality. So at the cosmic level of reality, you could say that our galaxies, our universe, and other universes are receiving their their universal life supply from the core of the central universe, which has always existed, right? And then in turn, at a local level of reality, our galaxy receives that same light and nourishment from the central center of our local universe. And then furthermore, our galaxy transmits that inner universal life force to the billions of stars. And then in turn, the stars transmit it to the trillions or perhaps even, trillions of worlds. And that's how life is. It's all coming from what I call in my book, the central sun, which is characterized by what I call the centrifugal force, not centropy, not entropy. I know there's been some misspellings there, but I meant to say centropy over entropy. Centropy is the concept that there is no black hole as scientists perceive it, but rather a colossal central heartbeat at the center of all galaxies and universes that are constantly, spinning out universal life force, giving nourishment to the billions of stars and the trillions of worlds that exist. And that implies that it is all about centropy, not entropy. There is no end to this. As long as the central universe is spewing out energy, we're dealing with infinity.
Okay, right. Wow. That makes sense. Okay, so that kind of leads me into the flat earth, and I know you talk about this in your book too, but again, like people are going bananas right now with this whole like illusion of flat earth. Like, how, it's not flat, right? So.
No, it's not.
I mean, where does this, again, where does this, is it the reptilians, the Luciferians that are fueling this, and then people are just diving into it again because it's like in the digital stuff? Like, I mean, there's just so much misinformation, but it's like, you guys, come on.
Yeah, it's part of the misinformation campaign in order to, block the disclosure from taking place, because part of the flat earth concept is letting us know that there is no stars, that there is no planets, that everything is within the dome. There is no dome. There's firmaments, but they're not like absolute solid. Some of these firmaments are just different types of layers of magnetospheres that have been that are designed to kind of like protect us, to protect us from things that might be coming into our planet or our atmosphere, like asteroids and meteorites, and you explain the different crashes, right? Like the Grand Canyon and all those crashes and all the evidence of these meteorites and comets that have hit the Earth from outer space. There is no dome. That's the biggest psyops there is, and the Earth isn't a pancake. It's spiritually speaking, the Earth is like us. We're spinning toroidal fields, right?
Right. I mean, because you mentioned spheres. Yeah.
Spheres. So we're spheres, the planets are spheres, the stars are spheres, galaxies are spheres, the universe, the multiverse, everything is a sphere within a sphere within a sphere within a sphere.
Okay, which means that we're all infinite beings, right? And that's how we're all connected, because there is no end.
Absolutely. Which brings about the concept of centropy, not entropy.
Right. Okay.
It's amazing.
That's cool. I was going to ask something else and it left my brain. Kayla, do you have something?
I think it's answered everything, to be honest. Answered everything.
I had, obviously, it left my brain for a reason because I wasn't supposed to ask it, I guess.
What I did want to ask is, how do you know if you're part of the 144? Does it just happen on the solar flash that you remember?
Absolutely, but it's also an inner knowing that
I have like a feeling that I'm here, because I've had a lot of blue beings around me recently and stuff like that, and I have a feeling that I'm here to just for a bigger purpose. I can't explain it. It's just in my heart. I feel like I'm about to help humanity in some big way. So yeah.
And
we
you
definitely are, and you already are. She sings this. She sings beautiful light language, and she touches your heart. So she's definitely already doing it. And yeah.
I'm a newbie to all this spiritual stuff. So
yeah, we're all doing our part. Everyone is contributing to this act, this awakening, this saving of the Earth.
Right.
I love it.
And so like the I guess the way, like with the heaven and earth integrating, like I mean, it's obviously nothing like any of us have ever experienced before in this lifetime. So, I mean, it's just going to be mind blowing, I guess, right? I mean, ultimately, right at first.
Well, it's definitely going to be something different, you know. But at the same time, it's really going to be us just regaining our memories back.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. That makes sense.
Remember, we're from the heavenly spheres. That's why it's hard for us to adapt and acclimate to this reality.
Right.
Yeah, it is quite hard to grasp and understand. Like, I know it's true, but it's like your ego's just telling you it's not. It's a bit crazy.
It's talking about like the ego, you know, I guess my question would be is like, again, going back to talking about this full moon that we're about to have, like is this kind of helping squash this ego, this last little bit of, you know, negative energy that people keep trying to hang on to? And I mean, I know obviously some will make the choice not to, like you either have the choice to be light or live in fear. I understand that, but like those that are supposed to be the pure light, like is that what this activation is helping do, I guess, like for them to remove it, like even if they're not necessarily aware?
Well, it's the energy that's coming from our sun. So
Right.
yes, it's reflecting or bouncing off the moon.
Okay.
But yeah, you know, it's all part of this idea of reconnecting to what we were before we came to this earth, and also bringing higher dimensions to the lower dimensions, or actually just realigning and reconnecting.
Right.
Okay.
Can I ask one more thing on that, on the solar flash? So do you know when that does happen? Is that a case? Do some people fall asleep through that for a couple of days? And another thing I wanted to ask was the 3 nights of darkness. Is that true? People are talking about.
Well, yes, 3 nights of darkness has a lot to do with our sun shifting. Our sun's going through a transformation too, shifting from one level of reality to the next. So it's about readjusting us to the new electromagnetic fields that are going to replace the old one that is now collapsing as I speak, as the Schumann resonance continues to rise. And in some respect, I guess, yes, you know, in order to acclimate to some of these energies, you know, people are probably going to be sleeping for about 24 hours to 48 hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's basically because your body needs the rest in order to acclimate all of these frequencies, right? Or integrate it.
Integrated. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. And that's why like those who are passing, it's because they could never hold the new frequencies, correct?
Correct. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And that's why they're passing early, because they're not going to be able to
make it.
Or acclimate. Yeah, they're not going to have I guess the word is the circuitry in their body.
Okay. Yeah. Because we're like electrical. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. So, I mean, I guess at this point, it's just like any day that this grand solar flash can happen, right? I mean, you don't think it's going to be like months or a year, right?
No, it's definitely going to happen very soon. I would say, you know, obviously within the next few years. In my book, I said by 2024. So we'll see if my original vision is accurate. You know, despite of the fact that timelines have been altered and tweaked and messed with over and over and over.
Right.
But overall, you know, the forces of light did secure all positive timelines.
Okay,
I keep
cool.
getting number four quite a lot, and August the 4th I keep getting, so I don't know if anything could happen. That's August the 4th. I don't know if it's for the solar flash, but I feel like something is about to come, like something big.
Yeah, that's
I'm excited. I know what I was going to ask you about was the Georgia stones, the different do you call it a monument? I don't know what you call that thing.
Yeah.
Well, I call
People
them
are thinking it was a ritual, that they're doing it themselves and it wasn't the white hat. So there's a lot of people, but you think it was a white hat, don't
it
you?
was definitely their way of checkmating the dark side, saying, this is what you guys
Mm.
wanted to create, depopulate 75% of the population and only reduces down to 500 million. Well, guess what? You know, it's not going to happen.
And so like, and I think I heard you say there were going to be other like monuments kind of like that were going to be destructed by the white hats, like along the way. Is that right?
Yes, because these monuments are built on ley lines that are disseminating into the grid system negative energy. So what they're doing is they're going to be destroying. I think they have already. I think a lot of the monuments it's just not being reported.
Right.
In a way, it kind of alleviated a lot of the dense energy of the planet.
Okay.
So that's what we've been feeling different within the last few weeks. You know, it's like something happened, something definitely shifted.
Right.
And I think that has a lot to do with removing these negative monuments that have been continuously disseminating negative energy into the grid for, for many, many years.
Yeah, well, because that, I mean, that the Georgia Stones, they've been there since the 80s, and I never knew that. So, I mean, it makes sense, that dark energy has just been lingering and growing, festering, I guess. And I know I can't remember what it's called, but there was something in the Philippines that was struck, or a bridge, something fell out of it. And then is it true? Like, I heard that the Philippines has already got a new type of currency that's backed by gold. Have you heard this?
I heard that as well.
That could be true because the Philippines did sign into the Commonwealth of Nations as opposed to the UN globalist agenda.
Right.
And I also think that Russia in the last 2 months, ever since they've cleaned house in the Ukraine, cleaning all the mass destruction, including a lot of the underground tunnels. I think Russia is also now backed by gold and stuff, and so now it's just they're waiting for the rest of the the nations to kick in.
To grab a hold. Right. Okay. And I mean, so you like for that to happen, like we've got all these different elections and things happening. Wouldn't you say it's like the transition of new people coming in to be able to like embody this new, world government?
Well, it's not going to be a world government. It's going to be a world democracy. It's going to be the opposite of a world government. But yeah, it's definitely going to reunite the earth and bring forth new systems and structures that are going to be beneficial for, not only humanity, but we're going to be shifting from oil, petroleum, petrochemicals to free energy devices, natural, higher level technologies that are actually safe for the environment and all living things.
Because our technologies we have now are what really are making us sick or controlling the mind or just, not really, they're not good for us.
Yeah, not only the technologies, but it's the foods that we eat, it's the shampoo that we use.
Yeah.
Right. All the chemical. Yeah. And I mean, they're poisoning the air, the water.
Yeah. So pretty soon we should also see the end of chemtrails sometime before the summer. That's all I know.
Yeah, they've been going on all day.
I keep looking. I go, some days I'm out there and I'm like, wow, you're beautiful out here. And then the next day I'm out here and I'm like, oh Lord, what's going on?
That's true. Yeah, I'm sorry. I keep itching. It's a mosquito bite. It's just bugging me. I'm like, oh.
You're all right. I realized that my kids had all these buckets outside yesterday with rainwater in it, and I'm like fighting all these mosquitoes, and I'm like, you guys. So I feel you.
But so like the kids I got 4 and I just worry about them so much. So the kids will be absolutely fine. They're going to come. If I do go to the 5D, they'll come with me.
Yeah. Cool. And your pets.
Amazing. I don't have pets. But I want a cat. I do want to get a cat. Amazing. Any more questions, Margaret?
I don't think so. I feel like, unless Ishmael has anything that he wants to add to, help those that either us or anyone else that will be watching that is, really working to help bring, the love and compassion back to the planet.
Yes, I would just like to let everyone know that my book has been really changing a lot of lives. A lot of people have
Yes.
been DMing me that this book totally activated them. That
Oh, mine's upstairs.
Thank you. So I just want to know where to get it. It's available on Amazon or Cosmic Origin. And I also been teaching some online courses called it's about restoring the knowledge back to the star seeds of their galactic and stellar heritage and stuff, and of course reminding them of their mission, going into deep detail about the galactic history and so on and so forth. So
Oh,
I've
that's
been doing
awesome.
those as well, and it's been fun. It's been fun to.
And have you got another book coming out as well?
Not in the near future. That's still going to be in progress. So.
Okay.
Well, this is
Yeah.
definitely very exciting, and
It
yes,
is.
your book is, like I saw, is amazing. I love it. I'm going to keep, using it and reading it more, because I'll understand more as we go too. So yeah, and I want to get some of your information, so when I post this video, I can have all of your stuff down in the description, so people will be able to easily, find you. And I assume, like, on your website and stuff, that's how people can find your classes and whatnot. And going through, you only have an Instagram account, correct?
Well, I also have a Facebook. I just don't use it much, but I
Okay.
have it set up in a way where everything I post on Instagram automatically posts on Facebook.
Okay.
But I rarely interact with people on Facebook. I barely have time
Yeah.
to interact with people on Instagram now. So
Busy.
You're a
I'm
busy
so
guy.
grateful that I'm so grateful that like you've even done this interview. Like, yeah, because I know you're really busy.
you're welcome. I
So
always
thank you.
go with my intuition. So, I felt like I needed to do this interview with you guys.
Well,
Thank
we
you.
really appreciate that you did.
And I will be giving you the link to my Instagram, my book, and
Yes.
my online course for those that are interested in learning more about their stellar heritage.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll be signing up to that course.
I know,
Definitely.
We'll have
yes.
room up in October, ladies.
All right.
Well,
Well, I'm ready to learn. I've always been a truth seeker. So the more that I can, learn, the better I feel,
That's how I've always felt.
amazing.
And I consider myself a person who's still learning. I always
Yep.
keep my cup empty to learn more. So I'm not only a teacher, but I'm a student as well.
Absolutely. Yes.
And one more thing before we go, I think someone asked me a question. So do you know the people where you say you've got to keep your bodies clean, eat organic, and what about the families that really can't afford to buy that healthy food? Will that still, with the solar flash, remove all that from the bodies?
Oh yeah, most definitely. If they're generally good people, they're going to be
Yeah.
upgraded, at least to the fourth
Okay.
dimension. But if
Yeah.
the higher you want to go in dimensions, I would say really keep your body alkaline and cleansed as much as possible with organics, raw living foods, healthy
Yeah.
superfoods.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that
Yeah.
makes sense. Well, we really appreciate you joining us.
Thank
and this
you.
was very exciting. And we look forward to working with you and learning more from you. We follow you all day, every day. And so thank you so much for your wisdom and knowledge. We definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks.
You're welcome. I appreciate your time as well and your willingness to learn.